Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com, and in today's video what I'm going to do is build another front end for that to-dos API, except in this one I will be doing it in Vue, in specifically Vue 3, using the composition API, which is sort of like the newer way of doing things in Vue. It's not the only way of doing things, so there's still the old options API where you export the big object, and you have like the data property and the methods property and all that stuff. But let's do it. Okay, let me think about how to do it with the Vue CLI. Well, let's see. Let's try Vite. npm init Vite. Okay, we'll just call this to do Vue. There's Vue without TypeScript. Okay, let's cd into to do Vue. Let me just make sure that's using Vue 3 before I get too far. Oh, I made it in the wrong folder anyways. But let me just check anyways. Vue 3, good. So we are using Vue 3. Let me just move this to the right place. Goody, close the Angular folder. Don't want to think about Angular at the moment. That was that was a long and fun build for those who watched that. Okay, so I'm in the Vue folder. Well, let's do this. Close this. Let's just close all these terminals. Okay, first thing first, let's turn on the API. Okay, API starting. Let's go inside the to-do Vue. npm install all the deals. Okay, goody. And then let's do, what's the commands for Vue? npm run dev. Okay. So let's do this over here. It's on localhost 3000. Now I wonder if the Vite template already has like routing all set up and everything. Components, assets, logo, components, no. Okay, so I won't bother with the routing. Okay. So I'm just going to delete this template. Just clear this all out. Okay. So this is interesting, this whole setup tag, but let me just look into how that works. I know that's like the setup function works, but it looks like this is like actually has like a setup attribute that you can put in there, and which may make it easier to do all this stuff. Summary: introduce a new script type in single file which exposes all of its top level bindings to the template. Const count. Okay, cool. Yeah, I like that. I like it. I like it. Okay, so basically in the new composition API, you would export the object and you would have to do the setup function. But basically, according to this, you just do your script tag with a setup thing, and then you just write your code in here, and life is good. So I'm going to go with that. That's awesome. That's going to make our life a lot easier. Okay, I don't care about styling, so let's just get rid of the styles. Okie dokie, and I don't need this component imported. Okay, so first thing first, we're going to wrap everything in a div, because you have to have a top level element, and kind of like React, h1, Alex's to-do list. Okay, now first things first, we're going to want to get a to-do, get our to-do, so let's declare some variables. Okay, const URL equals http localhost 10,000 / to-dos. Okay, and then I'm going to want to import ref. That's how we declare state in Vue now. Okay, from Vue And I think I'm also going to want like a before on before mount. Yeah, so I think I'm going to want this. Okay. And the way, if I remember, then we're going to create that method const get to do's. Const get to do's, which is going to equal an async function, which is just going to go get our to do's for us. We need to create state for the to do's. So let's just say const to do's equals a ref that starts out as an empty array. Okay. And then what I want to do is do const response equals fetch URL. So again, this is just like the variable for my URL. This is going to eventually hold my to-dos and fetch URL. And then again, we need to do an await there. Const data equals await response.json. And basically then we do to-dos.value, which is the value of the reference variable. And we're going to say that's going to equal the data, and that's going to trigger a reactive response. Okay, and then I want to call this function when the component mounts. So I will just do on before mount, and then we just pass in a function here that does what I wanted to do, which is just do get to do's. Cool. Simple enough. Yeah, cool. Save. I need to save that actually. So theoretically, I should have the to-dos inside of to-do, so I should be able to do this. So ul, and then do ali, and then use the v4 directive, which should be like, if I remember right, should be just basically like for to-do of to-dos. Yeah. Acquire v4 key, elements iterable. Or key, okay, it wants a key, so I have to put like a, I think it's like v key. Actually, it might just be key. See here, do I need to put like, is it v key? Okay, so just key equals, I think it's like bind key, no, that's not the way it works. V bind key equals to do dot underscore ID. There we go. Because the v bind will bind the variable to something, some variable that you have. So I'm saying, hey, this key property should be bound to the to do that we're looping over and its ID. Okay, so now I can now sit there and say like h1, and then again this is gonna be like Angular with the double curly brackets, and say, hey, I want here to be the to do dot reminder. And let's just see if we see that already. Don't quite see that yet, so let's just take a look at DevTools. Update instance that update is not a function. So what I'm thinking is that it would prefer it if I did this function. Yep, that's what I thought. Okay, it's a binding issue. Okay, cool. So it prefers that I write the function, so that way the context of this is correct. Okay, so it is getting the to-dos. Wonderful. Okay, let's just also just say, hey, you know, like to-do dot completed. Okay, if you saw the Angular video, this was a lot faster. then we got it done in Angular. Okay, not completely apples to apples because I'm not doing routing, but it wouldn't have been taken that much more time. Then we're gonna have our button to create a to-do. Okay. And that's right, it's gotta be inside the div. Cut. Okay, and since I don't have routing, I have to think of a different way to do this. So what I'm going to do is, should I keep it all in one component? Nah, still create another component for the form. So let's create a component. New file form.view. Okay, and then I am going to copy this just as a template for form.view. And okay, thinking. Yeah, I want to get rid of all this. I'm going to empty all this out. Now, cool. Actually, on that note, how am I going to access the props? Here we go. Const props, define props, string. Okay, so there's a function called define props that we're going to want to grab. Okay, so I don't need the on before mount, but I do need define props. Okay. So that will be available to us. Okay, and cool. I think that does the job, because I think this whole setup thing automatically exports the thing. So yeah, I like that. I like this a lot. This whole I know it's experimental, but super cool. Target version, start date, 10 implementation. Yeah, overall, I am cool with that. But let's just see here. No, the template requires exactly one element. What's this over here? Oh, let's get rid of the hello world. Okay. App.view. I want to import form from dot slash component slash form dot view. Okay, and then what I should do is we'll just make another reference variable, to do's const show form equals ref false. Okay, and what I want to do, yep, that's fine. Show form and basically we're gonna have to say form that will only show up if show form says the show. Okay, so right now it shouldn't show up, and it does not. Okay, but we need a function to toggle that. So const show form or toggle form equals, okay, show form dot value equals not show form dot value. Okay, and we'll just make it that when you click on this button up here, okay, and then we can just say add click. So on a click event, it will do show form or toggle form. Okay, so let's see if that, we need something visible here. So form. Okay. There we go, that's working. Toggle form. It's toggling the form, good. Okay. Cool. Now, in this case, what we're going to do is we're also just going to have some stuff that just kind of translates down to the form state. So we're going to say const reminder equals reminder equals ref, which is going to be this, and then const completed, which will equal ref, which will be false, and const ID, which will equal ref, which will equal also empty. Okay. Or no, we'll say. Okay. Let's see here. And then I want to pass those down as props. So reminder equals reminder. Or I can just do this actually. Let's just try this. This might just be quicker. Dot 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 an object with reminder completed and underscore ID. Okay, do I want to do it that way? Yeah, we'll see. Okay, so then here I want to define the props so I can receive them. So const props equals define props, and it should be an object with let me just see here the documentation. Define props, and basically in here I want to expect that in our props we will have define props. I'm going to expect a reminder, which is a string, a completed, which is a boolean, and underscore ID, which is a string. Okay, let me just see here. Let's go to. Do I not have Vue DevTools? I thought I did. Let's see here. View. Is this it? No, that's for accessibility. There. I guess I don't. Okie dokie. Vue DevTools. Okay. Okay. Go. Let me refresh this page. Let's do a hard refresh. Or let's just open this up in a new tab so that way it has a new time for like the extension to reload. And yeah. help, extensions. Okay, turn that on. Let's refresh. I guess it just doesn't want to turn on for some reason. It used to work. Okay, so in that case, what I need to do is console.log props. Okay, let's go to console. Let me head over to the form component and form view 16. So I get this proxy. That's fine, I get that. Handler completed, false reminder. Reminder undefined, ID undefined. Oh, I know why. Let's go back to form.view. Let me go back to app.view. Back over here. Reminder. Ref equals reminder. Did I spell it wrong? Reminder. ID. They exist. Because it's not bound though. That's probably why. So we probably just have to do this a long way. Okay, so vbind. Okay. Reminder to reminder. And we just need this 2 more times. Okay, so this should be, because basically I'm saying I'm binding this prop to this state. Vbind reminder, vbind completed, and then vbind underscore ID. Okay, well, that should be underscore ID. So now, if I refresh, I click here, that proxy looks a lot better. So reminder, ID still null, which is fine, completed false. Okay, so that's working the way I expected to. Don't worry about the handler thing. That's just basically how Vue is able to make it where you change variables. It's going to update the state because it uses proxy objects. If you haven't watched my video on how to use proxy objects, they're really cool. Basically what you do is you just create sort of like this facade of another object, but you can add other functionality when you get and set values. The difference in using a getter setter only works for like one property. This kind of like you define a sort of universal getter, universal setter, which is really cool. Cool. Okay. So let's actually make the form now. So I want a form element. And we're going to have an input of type equals text. And an input of type equals checkbox. And then an input of type equals submit. And the value equals submit for now. Okay. Cool. So there is our thing. So we need to create variables in here to bind these form attributes to. Okay. So, okay. What we're going to do is we're going to create some variables. So const reminder equals a new ref whose initial value is props.reminder. Okay. And then we're going to have completed and we're gonna have completed, and we're gonna have ID. And actually, one more thing I want to pass down. I'm also going to want to create a variable called action. Const action equals ref, and it's going to start off as create by default. Okay, and then I also kind of want that being passed down. So let's just add another prop. Vbind. Oops. Copy too much. Cool. Now I'll go back to here and I'm going to add action as a string. Okay. Const action equals ref props.action. Okie dokie. So now let's do a vModel to bind these, the model that binds it to the variable. So I'm binding this one to reminder, and then this one gets bound to the I love the model directive. The way it's done here in Vue, it's just nice and simple. Okay, done. Okay, don't have to think about it more than that. Okay. So that's all fine and good. And now we just need to pass down a few more things. We need to pass down a function. We're going to be passing down sort of a couple different functions. So basically what happens when this gets submitted for create, I'm going to define that up here because I got all that stuff up here. So we're going to say const create to do equals const create to do, and what I want this to do is say, I'm going to make this a sync function. Okay, and what's going to do is going to say const, well, not even, await fetch, and then use the URL, except we're going to modify the request a little bit. Say, hey, we're going to be making a post request, and we're going to be using headers, and this is going to be content type application JSON. Okay, and then they also include the body. The body, which is going to be JSON.stringify. JSON.stringify. Okay, JSON.stringify. In this case, it is going to take in, well, we're going to pass the function the new to do, so we won't construct the new to do here. So it's just going to construct the new to do. And once that new to do is done and created, what I want is to update the list of to dos. So we're going to use the get to dos function. And then I want to use that toggle form function to toggle the form. Okay, the form disappears. Okay, now that needs to be sent down as well. So that's just another prop. Okay, so let's just copy this again. Okay, this is not the best encapsulation I've ever done. Okay, Just again, I don't use view on a super regular basis. V bind, and I want to do the create to do. Okay, I want to send that down. Again, I got to receive that, so I got to define the prop. Create to do, which is supposed to be a function. And eventually you're going to want update to do, which is also a function, but I won't worry about that now. Okay, so reminder. Okay, so what we're going to do is create a const handle submit function. Which equals, and again, this will just be a function here. And what it's going to do, it's going to say the to do always equals. Okay. Well, actually, we'll just do it this way. If action.value equals create, and then we'll just do the create logic. To do equals an object, so const to do. Const to do equals an object with reminder, which is going to equal reminder.value, and completed, which equals completed.value. And then what we do is we then do props.create to do, and we pass that new to do into there, and then that should handle the rest. So then we're just going to say at submit equal handle submit. Okay, and then when we submit the form, that's the deal. Okay, so theoretically I should be able to add something now. So let's see here. Create a to do. Oh, I think I'm getting error, so let's refresh. Okay, the form shows up. Then let's say eat brunch. I hit submit. And see, brunch got added, and the form disappeared. And if I click create to do again, I get a blank form again. Wonderful, that's exactly what it should do. Good. Now what I want is I want to make it where if I click on one of these, I can then edit that to do. Okay. So let's see here. Okay. Let's go to app.view. And so we're going to create a function called select. Const select to do to edit. That's going to equal a function that takes in a to do. And what it's going to do is be like underscore ID. What it will do is going to take underscore ID dot value and make it equal to do dot underscore ID. And basically we're going to do this kind of deal 2 more times. So just paste it. Only difference is that this time it'll be the reminder, and this time it will be completed. There we go. And then we say action.value equals to do dot, no, just equals update. Okay. Let's update. to do action.value.update, and then it's going to do it's going to toggle the form. Okay. And what's going to happen is we're going to bind that to the H1 here. So if we click on this, it's going to equal select to do to edit, but we're going to pass in the to do in there. Okay, so let's see if that works. So I should be able to click on this, and I expect that one of the forms should pop up, and I should see eat dinner and the checkbox off. Let's refresh. Oh, okay, so good, it works. Okay. Okay. Got it. Not the ideal toggle, but I'll live with it. Okay, now we need to do what happens when you submit that form. Okay, so let's create update to do. So I'll just copy create to do as the starting place. Update to do. Okay. To do. Okay, and in this case, what's going to happen is that it's going to be post the URL. It's going to end up equaling plus slash with the ID at the end. To do dot underscore ID. And then we're going to be making a put request. That's all fine and good. Okay. And then after that is done, I should reset all this stuff, such as mainly this, or no, action.value should go back to being create. And action dot or underscore ID dot value should go back to being should go back to being null. The form will get toggled. Okay. We should, in the toggle form, ID value, where's my toggle form function? Toggle form. What we should do is always reset the values. So let me just grab this, put this in toggle form. And change this back to, so whenever the form toggles, it will clear it out. That might not necessarily always work either. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I have to put this, make another function. We'll call it reset form. Reset form. Fine, we'll just do that. Reset form. And this is going to be reminder that. And this should be false. So that way, after create to do is done, it'll also reset the form. And it's going to be the same thing after the to do is done. Reset form. Okay. Okay. What I should do here is say show form dot value equals true. So that way it only reveals. Okay, I'll deal with that issue afterwards. Okay. What point is I can now be like, I want to update eat dinner. Okay, and then eat dinner. Let's just change it to eat dinner 2. And if I hit submit, it doesn't become eat dinner 2. So let's see what happened there. So update to do. Oh, well, I never passed in like an update. This update to do function. Toggle form, reset form. I need to pass this down in there. That's why we have the function, but we need to actually like wire it. So this is going to be update to do. Okay, and then again, I already have the update to do there. And then what's going to happen, we go down here, we're going to say if action dot value equals update, because again I changed that action property whenever whenever you click on one to update. So in this case, we do const to do. Be the same thing, except we're going to add the ID into it. Okay. Underscore ID dot value. Okay. Cool. And then we just do props dot create update to do, and we pass in the to do, and that should do all the things. So let's see here. I eat dinner. I want to change it to I eat dinner 2. I hit submit. Still didn't update it. Okay. We'll take a look again at the update function. So update to do async fetch URL slash to do dot underscore ID method put content this should be to do, that's why. There we go. Okay, so let's click eat dinner 2. I hit submit. Okay, good, it's working. Okay, so essentially, like if I click on eat snacks, that toggles the form, sets these values to kind of match what's in there already, changes the action to update. So that way when I hit submit, it does the update if statement. Okay, and then when I'm done with that, that resets it to create. And then if I click on create to do is gonna work for create. Perfect. Okay, so that's all good. Now all we need to do is delete. Okay, so we just need to add a delete button. So I'm just going to copy the update function. So we can create our delete to do function. And we'll just put in like delete to do. And this is all fine and good. Just get rid of this. This becomes delete. Okay. We don't need to necessarily toggle the form or reset the form after deleting, because that's not going to require the form. So that should be it. So what should happen is that next to these H1s, there should be a button for deleting. And then here we just say at click equals delete to do, and we pass in the to do. And then that's that. That should be pretty straightforward. That should work. Yep. Works like a charm. Okay, beautiful. There we go. We got full CRUD on Vue. I think we even got this done a little bit faster than the React one. Okay, and I like this particular version of Vue. So this is not only just the Vue 3 composition API, but this particular template, which is in the Vite template, has this nice version of the script tag where you put in setup, so that way you don't actually have to write like a setup function. Like this is your setup function, which gives it a lot more of a feeling of what I like about Svelte, where it's just like you're just writing JavaScript. You're not necessarily like thinking too hard about it, which is nice. I like that. Before it was like in Vue, you have to kind of like categorize things in different parts of your object. The nice thing about it was your code was very organized because all your methods were here, all your data, your state was here. But this just makes it feel more like I'm just like writing JavaScript with the reactive directives in Vue. So this takes Vue and at least syntactically brings it a little bit closer to Svelte. Svelte was already very close to Vue, but the things that I didn't like about Vue that I liked about Svelte, this brings it kind of bridges that gap a little bit. So this is nice. I like this. At the end of the day, like I personally will still prefer Svelte and SolidJS just because of the additional speed from the pre-compilation aspects of those frameworks. But I do like Vue a lot. Like if you haven't tried Vue, it's definitely worth trying. It's super cool. Very nice. So I'll see you all later. Let me just save this. I will push this up to Git so that way you guys can see this code. I'll put the link to all the front end so far, and I'll keep updating that as it goes. So that way in all these videos you can find a link to all the builds, all the repos, if you want to take a look at them. So I'll see you all later. My name is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com.